running out of time for impeachment. So far, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is resisting pressure to begin impeachment proceedings, but she is saying this about the president.
In plain sight, in the public domain, this president is obstructing justice, and he's engaged in a cover-up. And that could be an impeachable offense.
Pelosi insists that Congress gather evidence before it takes any action against President Trump. One Democrat, though, who strongly believes the Mueller report lays out a case for impeachment is Congressman Al Green of Texas. But he has other reasons as well, and he joins me now to talk about them. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on this evening.
It's my honor to be on with you, sir. Thank you so much.
So you have made the case to impeach President Trump after seeing the Mueller report, but you say the strongest case to impeach President Trump is his bigotry and policy. Tell me about that. Why is that?
Well, thank you. I've heard on your program, and many others I might add, that we need to have this discussion about race, the race question. I think that we need to go beyond talking. We have to make it an action item. We have a president who has infused bigotry into policy. When he was contemplating his immigration policy, he made the S-hole countries remark. And he was in the White House at the time. He went on to talk of policy that would eliminate diversity visas. These are the visas that many persons in Africa have benefited from. He has a policy still currently that is not what I would call something that I'm proud of, and I don't think the country is, and that is not reuniting families after having separated them at the border. It hurts my heart when I see that picture of that baby crying, being separated from her parents. I think that this would not happen but for the fact that these are people of color. I also believe that the president, having said that there were some very fine people among the bigots, the racists, the homophobes, the xenophobes, the Islamophobes in Charlottesville, where a woman lost her life fighting bigotry. I think all of these things, when combined, would cause us to conclude that these are impeachable offenses. And if we want to get beyond talking about the race question, I think we can make it an action item. I plan to do so.
Okay, so listen, you mentioned the separation of families, you mentioned the S-hole countries, you also point to the Muslim travel ban, you just mentioned the Charlottesville, you talk about transgender people in the military, that's one of the reasons. I'm just wondering, how do these rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, though?
Well, if you would go to the impeachment of Andrew Johnson in 1868, Article 10 of those articles of impeachment dealt with a high misdemeanor. We too often confuse what the law really says with what we think it says, Mr. Lemon. Andrew Johnson was impeached for speaking ill of Congress in Article 10 of those articles, and it was for a misdeed. A misdeed is a misdemeanor. So the president can be impeached for his racist and his bigotry. Unfortunately, however, he is a beneficial bigot, meaning he benefits a good many people, and I unfortunately have to tell you that I'm so saddened when I see people who have built their reputations fighting bigotry allowing this to persist to the extent that it has. There are organizations that are going to be shamed in history because they didn't fulfill their missions as they have said they would with reference to bigotry. I'm not going to be a party to this. I do believe he can be impeached for his bigotry, and he should be. I would also add this. Congress is at the crossroads of accountability. Either we will hold the president accountable or we will be held accountable. This is not a time when we're going to stand on the fence. We all will have to take sides. And the only way to accomplish this is to have votes in the House and in the Senate.
I got to ask you, though, Congressman, you know, all
Please.
but one House Republican, all but one, is opposed to impeachment based on the Mueller report, as you know. So what makes you think that they would go along with impeaching Trump for bigotry when they essentially ignore or defend the president's bigoted behavior and his policies, and they're going along with what the Attorney General and the president has spun about the Mueller report? Why do you think that they would go along with this?
Well, I don't think we have to set the standard such that we have to have the Republicans on board with us. If you'll recall, when President Clinton was impeached, only a handful of Democrats in the House voted to impeach the president, and it was party line vote in the Senate, meaning all of the Democrats voted not to impeach President Clinton. So I think we're expecting more of others than we ourselves have delivered. I don't think it has to be something that we have bipartisanship on. I'd love to have it, but the framers of the Constitution in Federalist 65 point out clearly that impeachment would be divisive, that the party line votes may be taken. They were very clear that this is not going to be a walk in the park, but it was necessary to maintain the democracy and protect the republic. It's not something that I want to do. I didn't come to Congress to impeach a president. I came to work on issues related to housing, the homeless, criminal justice. But this president has committed impeachable acts, and we have to act, or history will hold us accountable, and so will our primary voters.
Congressman,